That's how you make an LS fit a Beretta. Nice, Rock Auto. I also got to do a brake job on this hunk of junk this weekend, because that's what happens when you're the family gearhead. So here is an Fbody Camaro steering rack, an LS1 Camaro, that should fit my LS1 oil pan perfectly. And it's also front steer, which is what I need. And this is a like a 2000 Dodge Intrepid fan assembly, which fits an S10 Blazer perfectly, according to my Blazer group. And a Blazer radiator is exactly the same size as a Beretta, dimension-wise. So this should fit that. It's 4 inches thick total, but I think I can make this work. Oh, this is so close to fitting perfect, but not quite. I could trim and make it be perfect, but I think I'm going to go ahead and order another radiator first. This is the junkyard radiator. I can get a full aluminum one on Rock Auto. I'll try that first, but one way or another we'll make it fit. Yeah, that big old hole in there is going to get bigger. This is kind of the perfect name for this project. Got it. If you ever wondered what the unibody guts look like, there's where the exhaust goes through. There is the inner subframe bolts on here. And there is the outer one. So this, obviously, I'm going to have to box off and get some strength back in there. Originally, I was thinking I was going to take this whole floor pan and move the whole floor pan up 3 inches. But that's going to lose me room for my feet that I don't need to. And actually, I need the structure in here for that as well. So I'm just going to hack it all the way across there, bring the whole thing up, and then I'm going to have to patch in a piece for that 3 inch, make it a platform basically. But we're getting closer. Now, I mean, this whole thing is getting moved up 3 inches, but obviously this narrow point here is not going to work. Back here where the catalytic converter is already wide enough for a transmission. So this is going to have to go as well. But I got to see exactly how much, due to the offset that I got here. Due to the offset that I got in the firewall, I'm not sure exactly how much that I'm going to have to cut out. Well, it would appear that right here is part of my water leak. I'm sure there's probably more. All this sealant looks god-awful. No way it could be leaking there, too. But that rust hole, I'm sure, wasn't helping. Okay, getting some more chop figured out. Got my mark where I got to cut this subframe. This one over here is going to be a little more difficult. Got to come along through here because I got to have room for the lower control arm bushing, which may be a little bit of an interference. Well, I guess it's not too bad. Sort of the angle playing games with me. But I think what I'm going to do is chop both of these off and create a bar across here, welded into both of them. That'll help keep these stable and from wanting to rock. And I'm going to have a bar connecting the front pieces already for my steering rack mount. So that's going to make this a one-piece K-frame instead of a two-piece. All right, I took some measurements across the rocker here on both sides, and I know where it's got to be when I cut the floor out. Okay. I want to get it below this cut here. I'm dual wall right there. So I'm dual wall here and I'm dual wall behind it too.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why it's pinching in the plastic. Getting close. Got one little piece holding that corner. Now we're getting there. Okay. Come on. There. That's how you make an LS fit a Beretta.
Well, there we are. Big hole.
I think a transmission will fit here now. Pretty sure.
Guess that's it, huh?
Got it. Here, I'll go out the door. Easier to crawl out than me.
Look amazing!
Look at that!
Should have been
Look at all this floor space!
So many activities!
Okay, I did know that I was going to have to do a remote shifter on this thing, just like the half-ton guys do that put a console in their truck. They have a remote shifter that comes back like here. Obviously, I got to build my own deal, but there is the shifter. So what I'm going to have to do is cut this dash apart. The center console does come up and butt up here. The factory shifter ends up about here. So what I'm going to have to do to even make that fit underneath the factory console, which is also going to be raised up a little bit compared to where it was stock, is I'll probably have, when I make my shift linkage here for my remote shifter, probably going to have a jog in it where it comes out here, comes down, and then comes back like underneath here, underneath where the console will be, so it's all covered by the shift plate. But I'm not gonna lie, I knew I'd have to do the remote shifter just from, you know, taking a measurement from the firewall back to where the shifter would be. But that is higher than I was expecting. Those are some of the surprises you get once you actually get in here in 3D space, see how it all fits. You can see here when it comes to foot space, I definitely don't have a ton, and I'm gonna wanna keep the floor pretty close to the bell housing itself, maybe even move a little bit over there. But I'll make it work one way or the other. So up there, that hole right above that stud, that's where the stock throttle cable goes through. And I can see how all that stuff fits up. I just bought pedals so I can mount up my pedals, mock up my pedals, and see how all that's going to work. Gonna have to play nice with the steering column and all that. You can see where I made my cuts in the floor here. Kind of came straight back from where the engine block was going to be. But I do have room. If I make this transmission tunnel pretty tight to the trans, I mean, I've got 5 inches there. I could add back 3 anyway, 4 maybe. Get some more foot room. Now that I got that huge hole in the firewall and I did move this engine back a little bit further where I wanted, I've got a decent amount of room to the radiator here now, and I've got a little bit of room to slide this back. Not a ton, but I've got enough room here for this fan that I bought. This Dodge Intrepid fan, let's see, this is the way it's going to be sitting in there, with the wiring coming over this way toward the battery. It's got these little grooves here I'm going to cut out and bring them flush with where this spot is here. The water pump will sit right in this spot and have room, and it looks like it'll fit pretty good. Okay, now I've got the torque arm hooked into the axle back there. That puts me a little bit from the back of the trans, but that's good. I'm gonna build a cross member that goes from rocker to rocker, and that's gonna be my trans cross member and my torque arm mount. Because the weight of the suspension and stuff is gonna you know, the lift of the axle is gonna go through this torque arm mount, so that's got to be solid. And I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, this is my that's a trailer bushing right there actually, which is gonna be my torque arm bushing. And I'm going to put that across here, and then my trans mount will come forward to hook to this trans, because this NV3500 is shorter than like a T56 or AR5 or anything else I might use once a couple of these die. So that will be good. It'll give me room to put a longer transmission in there, and the torque arm mount will be just about right. I'm fairly happy with how that works out. This freaking floor here is funny because it's kind of rusty and nasty. Not looking that great. And then on the other side, it is freaking cherry. Because all the rust issues came from that friggin' water leak inside the cab. Okay, I decided I'm actually going to cut the dash like this first, see if I can make that work. And if not, I'll have to cut the whole thing out. Okay, I'm pretty happy about this. I've got the subframe in on the passenger side here, bolted in place, and I've got all the clearance that I need all the way through here. And this being the side that it's offset to, this is the tight side. Even got room for my exhaust to go through there. This is where the steering rack is going to run through. I'm going to have to chop these up for the steering rack mounts and everything to make that work. But this is the tough side, and it's in and fits beautiful. So I'm in good friggin' shape here. Pretty pumped about that. Okay, I grabbed those universal engine mounts that I got too. I think they're GMT 400 actually, two-wheel drive C1500 stuff. Anyway, they just looked like they would fit the headers that I had, the block and everything. And they will work pretty decent on the subframe too. I'm going to have to extend it a little bit, but I've got plate steel to do that, and that should work quite nicely. All the fitment is surprisingly good for this thing. Okay, so this upcoming week, I want to get a cross member built to build my torque arm mount and all that stuff, and I want to get the engine and trans actually mounted. I'm loving how that's fitting with the subframe, on the passenger side at least. Get the engine and trans fully mounted and stuff, and then I can start cutting up the floor and putting the floor back in it once that cross member's in there, and figuring out. So there's going to be a bunch more floor that I've got to cut out where the trans clearance itself is. I'll probably just do 16 gauge for a trans tunnel. That's what I did with my Camaro when I did the T56, and that worked pretty good. Use the same game plan here, and boy, I don't think it's that much work, and this thing will be driving. Once I get the trans mount, engine mounted, and the trans mount all set up, I've got to order a drive shaft. That's another thing I'm going to need to do, but it's not that far away.